as a leader, it's important that we coach, mentor, and lead others, not just tell others what to do. The benefits of actually engaging in a coaching relationship are tenfold. It increases employee engagement, it increases trust, you're going to decrease employee turnover, which also, of course, increases your bottom line. How is it, though, that we can be an incredible coach and mentor? First, we want to be a potential seeker and engage in meaningful conversations. Next, we want to actually have meaningful conversations more than just at the performance review. We want to conduct what we call stay interviews. Most of us conduct exit interviews, and often it's too late to repair most damage and actually retain the employee. We want to conduct meaningful stay interviews where we ask questions, talk about what's working, talk about where they see themselves in 5 years. What are the things that they see could be improved here? The other thing we want to do is actually care about our team. A great mentor of mine said that everyone has a sign around their neck that says, "Make me feel important." How is it that we can make others feel important? A recent study showed that employees, even above extra time off and more pay, wanted a space where they could engage, where they could be a leader, they could run a committee. It doesn't need to involve an increase in title even. Where is it that they can make a difference? Some people might care about corporate social responsibility. Others, they might want to get involved in your next team retreat or play a role, speak to your board. Most people today, especially a millennial generation and those Gen Xers, are looking for a place where they can make an impact, where they can make a difference. And sometimes as leaders, we sometimes have those blinders on, and we don't really think that that would make a difference for employees' satisfaction overall. But it really does. What about asking them to lead the next meeting? One of the organizations we work with actually decided to implement this policy and use it in rotating who was leading their Monday meeting. No matter if they had the title or not, the HR manager would work with the employee that was going to be leading the next meeting, help them create the agenda, help send out reminders. The amount of creativity that the employees generated in leading these meetings and rotating who was going to lead them was huge for the organization. Employee engagement and productivity shot through the roof. Also, if you're a remote workforce, I highly encourage having an open door policy, even if it's a virtual meeting that is open, that does not have a set agenda. Most of the time during the week, whether you're a remote, hybrid, or fully in-person team, we have meetings all the time. Hopefully, most of them are productive. But most of the time, we don't have space where people can come to us and bring up things that are bothering them, have open discussions, have time where they can connect, continue those stay interviews. In our performance reviews, we want to actually create a mentor map. So let's say that you have a team member and the team member's name is Becky, and you told Becky during her performance review you'd like her to work on time management. Well, do you have tools for her to work on time management? Do you have things laid out for her to actually make progress? If not, you want to set that up. How is she going to work on her time management? Are you going to check in with her each week, each month, each quarter? If you simply wait until the next year's review comes around, it is often too late. Either the team member hasn't felt equipped or supported, or you have built up resentment and frustration. Instead, set up a plan. How are you going to engage this team member throughout the year? The next thing I want you to do to increase your employee engagement is make a leadership map. This is what it looks like. You're going to have red, yellow, and green buckets. You don't necessarily want to let the employees know that you've labeled them, but use this as a tool so that you can clearly see every single quarter where is your team, and teach this to your leaders as well. The red bucket is where some of your employees are going to fall. They're the team members that unfortunately need the most support, but you might not want to engage with them the most because there's a low level of trust and engagement. The yellow bucket is where most of your team members will fall. They're often the ones they have a high level of trust, a good level of productivity, but they need your support. They need you to get in there with them and work on their training and development. Lastly, you have the employees in the green bucket. This is going to be the smallest number of employees. Usually, if you're lucky, 1 out of every 10 direct reports. These are people that you would trust. You probably already collaborate with them. If you had to go on an extended leave, you would entrust the business to them. Working with your team to literally move them from the red to the yellow to the green bucket is where you're going to see a lot of success. If you actually map it out and make a plan, it will have a huge impact. Most of us as leaders naturally are going to put our attention into those in the green bucket. They're the most fun to hang around. Maybe they're the most like you. Also, the level of trust and engagement, innovation, and the ability for that team member to not only take direction, but forge their own path is very high. How can you engage them in bringing those people in the red and the yellow buckets up? What is it that you can do to truly be a transformational leader? Of course, it also takes a high level of emotional intelligence. If you haven't already, I really encourage you as a leader to use your emotional intelligence. Remember, pillar 1 is self-awareness. How am I feeling? How's my confidence? What's my self-awareness like? Number 2 is self-management. How do I take those things that I notice are triggers and actually manage them? This includes building my capacity, stress management. It also includes paying attention to what we call our fuzzy 4. The fuzzy 4 are things that can make us feel drained, unable to focus. These are things like food and drink I might be eating or drinking, things like the people that I hang around, social media that I'm taking in, and what I'm watching and hearing, TV, podcasts. What are things that you can do to expand your capacity? Don't should on yourself, but simply notice, where are the areas that are making me feel extra drained, and what can I do about it? Number 3 in our emotional intelligence is social awareness. This is things like organizational awareness, our levels of empathy, my ability to read a room, nonverbal cues. What about your ability to notice unconscious bias and do something about it? Whatever it is that you're looking for, social awareness is very difficult to undergo if I don't have pillar 1 and 2 in check. And remember, emotional intelligence is not a destination, it's a wheel. Meaning, if I'm working on my self-awareness and self-management, I will have more capacity to pay attention to what others need. And have compassion for yourself. Sometimes we don't have a lot of capacity. And that's where we need to pull out back pocket phrasing, such as, thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for thinking of me. At this time, I'm at capacity. Please ask Bob. Or, thank you for thinking of me. At this time, I'm at capacity. Please circle back next quarter. And number 4 is my ability to have relationship management. This is where coaching, mentoring that we've been talking about in this video come into play. This is where building those relationships and being a transformational leader really makes sense. The competencies inside of pillar 4 of EQ involve things like vulnerability. How am I able to engage as a leader? And this definitely requires my increase in self-awareness, which includes confidence, my increase in self-management, and social awareness. Here's where you get to pour into others, and this comes into play both personally and professionally. How can I resolve conflict? How can I increase my level of communication strategies? Communication strategies come into play in pillar 3 with increasing my unconscious bias, but it also comes into play in pillar 4, where I want to make sure I'm a good team player. And sometimes this involves putting my ego aside. How is it that I'm able to engage with others? What am I able to create amongst my team so that I can have a high degree of effectiveness? So to recap, we've covered a lot about being effective as a leader. How about conducting stay interviews, having open door policies, having time to really connect with others? What are 2 things that you can take away from this video so that you can increase your level of leadership? Remember, We don't want to be a content consumer. We want to be a content activator. Whether you're grabbing our Rise Up For You book, perhaps you're engaging in our leadership workbook or our journal, working on yourself and making time to expand your capacity every single day is vital to being a transformational leader.